not a major surprise that the markets were higher today. I would have preferred a little bit more of the rip your face off variety, but not at all a surprise. I mean, I think that that the rally was coming. There is no question about that. Market, what do you say, guitar boy? Markets don't go straight down; they don't go straight up. There's always going to be some retracement back towards the mean or up towards the mean. And I don't put much in this, but I mean, obviously, it was a very solid rally from the lows. I mean, hell, the Nasdaq rallied what, about 300, almost 400 points from the bottom. The Dow rallied 800 points from the bottom. So I mean, yeah, obviously it was a good rally, but it wasn't one of those true rip your face off. We're going to see this overall, major beatdown. Okay. I think that, it's consistent with markets. It's consistent with the way markets trend. So, we'll see. Look, at the end of the day, it'll all play out, but I don't believe that today's markets did anything more than just rally. Okay. I mean, it's not, we certainly expected it. We talked about it over the weekend. We wrote about it. I mean, that, there was going to be a rally at some point. Now, again, is this it? Will it rally tomorrow? I mean, certainly, if I had my choice, I'd like to see it open higher tomorrow. Okay. I don't get my choice, but I certainly like to see a higher opening to sell into. Okay. Because I think that we are just in the bear market, or the down market is just beginning. Okay. So, as we look, I mean, again, let's look at the key factors that we would be checking here. And of course, volume was a little bit better today. Okay. Now, again, we'll see if it continues, but the last 3 days you've seen an increase in volume in the S&P. We're back getting closer towards reasonable ranges, the Dow. So, look, this very well could be, just the old dead cat bounce. And, again, I don't think that it will violate any trends. I don't think that we're going suddenly back to the moon. I think there are too many issues, okay, to continue to ignore, which we have done, basically not we, but have been done forever. Okay. So again, we'll see how it plays out eventually, because obviously we don't know what the final score is going to be. But certainly today's action meant nothing. Okay. I mean, when you look at the overall, we were down a little bit over 1%. We closed up, depending on the market, up 1% or less than. Okay. So, it wasn't crazy. It wasn't something that was any bit of a surprise. And this is what you get. Now, you obviously saw a pretty good thrashing in the metals, but that selling was done almost overnight. Okay, that really, from today's standpoint, from the actual market hours standpoint, it really wasn't very much. Okay, if you look at it, on a shorter time frame, I mean, it was pretty much down, before the markets actually really even opened. Crude had a nice rally back, but again, similar action. Most of the selling was done overnight. Okay, and you could say, well, what was the reasoning behind the selling overnight? Well, there's a number of things that it could have been. Again, I don't like SPY seemed more. Yeah, it seemed okay. I don't ever look for what news item caused what. Okay, but if you want a reason, why the selling was overnight, why it was heavy. Well, obviously we know the UK has got all kinds of troubles, and with the China shutdown and the problems in Shanghai and the problems in China in general, I mean, certainly you have the makings of a lot of people panicking and selling. Okay, and what happens when people start panicking and selling? Well, you're probably going to get a rally out of that. Okay, and so that would be not much of a surprise either. Okay, again, we don't get too surprised at what markets do. Alon on Twitter, well, he did push the button. Now, again, will it get approved? Will it go through? Based on what the option markets are telling us, hold on, I'll tell you right now what the option markets are telling us. The option markets are kind of telling us that it's pretty much of a done deal. Okay. Now, again, we've seen, you see the implied volatility. Okay. Now we've seen, okay, that, deals can fall apart. I don't know if this needs, I don't know if this needs government approval. Okay. I don't know that, I don't understand all these laws and rules and whatever. Okay. So the next question would be, if it does need government approval or it needs approval from somebody, will they approve it? That's the next question. Okay. Today's government is not what we always remember. So, but again, I don't know. Look, no deal is done. The way I look at life is nothing is done until the check clears the bank. Okay. But you had pretty much some wholesale selling just about everywhere today. I mean, it wasn't just in indexes. It was in gold. It was in silver. It was in platinum. I mean, almost across the board early, everything was under pretty severe pressure. Okay. Except for natural gas, which for whatever reason decided to go higher today now that we're short it. Okay. That may be all nice, but I think the most important thing is I like the way your hair is now. I'm getting it cut tomorrow. I can't take it. It's too damn long. Okay. That's the first text I sent when I knew the day I was coming back from Las Vegas. Because I go to the same person forever. I'm pretty steady. Okay. But thanks. I used to wear a lot longer. But too hard to take care of. But anyways, so I mean, these are markets, okay, and maybe we're now going to see some real opportunities which have not really been, all that existence, okay. Really, right now, I'm not complaining. I'm saying it is too long. I'm not complaining about anything, okay. I mean, it's my choice. I could have got a cut in Las Vegas if I really wanted to. I waited. Listen, I got my hair. I mean, what can I say? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I mean, this is the genetics I was born with. Okay. I can't help the genes I got. Okay. Those were passed down to me. But like I said, I don't think anything has really changed. I think we're in pretty much of a pretty solid downtrend in many things and pretty much of a solid uptrend of anything. I'm sure I have a lot more hair than most people. I mean, but what can I tell you? That's what happens. Like I said, I had good genetics. Okay. I didn't do anything to help it. Okay. So it just, look, I think the markets are looking to trend, and I think the markets are looking to go lower, as I've said many, many times before. I think that everyone's talking about my hair. I think that everybody wants to. I think that the retail trade is what makes the market rally, and the commercials, funds, and institutions are the ones that are sellers when it does rally. But they can't sell too quickly because they'll create a panic, and they're obviously doing everything they can to not create a panic. If my hair's like this, yeah. Well, again, I made a choice, but at the end of the day, the markets are the markets, and that's how they trade. Okay, were the grain markets, are they Are they no longer good anymore? Okay. Well, I don't know, pretty wild once again today. I mean, corn ended up on the day and wheat and beans ended lower, but it came significantly back from their lows of the day. So just another thing to, right. Look who's here. What's up, Japan? What's up, Japan? Go Braves. Well, they don't look so good, but they didn't look so good last year either. So listen, I like them. I like their team. I'm sorry they lost Freddie, but hey, it's all good. Yeah, Acuna. Acuna. I'm coming back too. Okay. But again, the market will play out over time. But look, I stand by my statements of 40 to 60% before it's all said and done. I'm not backing down from that statement. Okay. I stand by it. I think that the path of least resistance is down. I think that you're going to see some panic selling, and not to mention that despite today's bond rally, okay, 10-year notes are going over 3% and higher. Okay. So do you think that the money that is invested in the equities that was forced into equities because there's no other place to get any yield, do you think when the 10-year gets over 3%, do you think that many of those who were dying to stay in the market, not dying, they didn't want to be in the market, okay, but were forced in because of the lack of return, okay, are going to pull? I mean, if the dividend of the market is 3%, which is what they sell it on, which is bullshit, okay, because the dividend is fine except for one problem, okay, the dividend does not protect your principal, okay, bonds protect your principal as well. Okay, unless the government goes broke, which, listen, the way they print money, but I don't think it's going broke anytime soon. Okay. I appreciate learning the phase of the markets from you. Had a trend line drawn in July beans, and it's almost uncanny how today's bounce along. Well, see, that's what I'm talking about. Okay. That's what Olsen is a beast, but again, I like Freddie. I don't dislike Olsen. I like Freddie. Again, that's how it's supposed to work, right? That's what you're watching. Okay, that's the same thing as being one of those like a moving average kind of person or whatever. Like, I don't look at any of that crap. To me, it means nothing. Okay, to me, the key is the phases of the market give you the best general view of what's happening and help you along in any form of what you're trading. I mean, we use it on 4 minutes during the day, during the morning, okay, versus, daily. They're all the same. It just depends how fast you're looking for action. Okay. So, but when you look at the picture is pretty clear. Okay. It looks like we're headed lower. And again, there's going to be rallies. I can't stress that any harder. I mean, during 08, if you remember, there was 1,000-point overnight rallies that ended up down on the day. So, someone wrote last night in the chat room, they said, I'm surprised that, what's up? I'm just talking about you. They said they were surprised that the markets didn't open up lower. Well, I said, well, look, I was hoping they'd open higher so I could sell them, but they did open lower, not a lot. And they pushed down a couple of times and couldn't break them. So what do you think is going to happen when you push down and you can't break the market? Okay, you're going to get a rally. I mean, pretty simple. It's pretty simple dynamics if you put it in the simplest terms. If you listen to all those jackasses on TV with all their reasons of this and that and the other thing, you'd never know what to do and you'd have a nervous breakdown. Okay, these guys have no idea. First of all, 90% of them don't understand markets to begin with. Okay. What's up, my brother? Well, maybe he's not here yet. I know he's here, but he's not. His voice is not yet. So I'll wait for him to say hello. But you can hear me.
His voice is here now. How are you?
There you are. What's up?
How you doing?
Hey, listen, just watching another day in Market City, and another day of a little bit of some crazy action. And what's your thoughts?
I think I read something you wrote this morning said expect a rip your face off rally, and I guess we got it.
Yeah. You know what? I'm not quite sure that this was necessarily to rip your face off, but it certainly was a solid rally. I mean,
Yeah, a solid rally. And look, Elon bought Twitter. I think that kind of helped the market. But I have a feeling when Twitter's earnings come out, they're going to be ugly. I don't know what the rules are now, if they're going to have to release earnings since the company's going private.
well, but they're not private yet. And what
Right. I think they have to. Right.
does that? Do they have? Is there any not political, but regulatory issues that they have to go through?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, they're going to go through. Believe me, they give Elon Musk a hard time, the regulators, because he gives them a hard time, and they're going to look this over with a fine-tooth comb. And it's going to be very interesting what they do, and they'll probably stall this a lot.
I mean, is there a chance that the government doesn't allow the deal to go through?
I don't think they can. I think he has the financing. I think that they can. But what they could do is they could stall it. They could take months to look at it and say, oh, I want to make sure there was no manipulation and all this kind of stuff. So expect, a strong regulatory oversight on it. But at the end of the day, the deal gets done. That's my
Okay. All right. Well,
that's my view.
unless something happens besides that, and again, listen, no deal is done until the check clears the bank. That's the way that I look at it.
That's exactly right. But it's looking good. I mean, listen, the bottom line is I'm sure that the board of directors scrambled around looking for another buyer and they didn't find anyone. I'm sure they were all over Warren Buffett and they were all over a lot of other big cash sources. No one was interested, and Elon came up with it. But it's interesting, he's got backing, so it's not going to just be ideological for him. He's going to have to make this company show a profit. And you know what? I have a lot of faith in him. I think he will.
Right. With Musk involved, and there'll be double the hoops probably.
Oh yeah, there'll be double the hoops. No,
but somehow with him, he seems to. I mean, he basically gives the finger to the SEC all the time.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, he doesn't give them too much to be able to go after him with. So, he walks, he pushes the envelope, but I think he's got a team of lawyers that, they push it so far, but not to a point where he gets in trouble. So, he's a smart guy.
I'm sure his lawyers are as smart as he is. I'm sure he did a good job at picking who he was his team.
Oh, he's tough.
I mean, this guy, obviously we know this guy is brilliant. Okay?
Yeah.
So I'm sure that he has a pretty good team, and obviously they always push the envelope, and this time won't be different. Okay?
No, and listen, his empire is growing. So now he's got space, he's got EVs, he's got environmental, he's got logistics, and he's got social media. What's next?
So does this mean, Connie asked me, does this mean we have free speech now? I mean, for example, will he, not that Donald Trump would come back, would he allow Donald Trump back?
I think he will, but I think Donald Trump will say no because he's got that other venture, but that other venture he's not doing.
No, right. You and I both understand that, but I'm just saying, do you think that they're
I think absolutely he will, because I mean, this is very ideological for him. And I think it is also for his, remember who his partner is. His partner in PayPal is Peter Thiel, and Peter Thiel is a big Trump supporter. So, I think definitely this is geared towards letting him back. I think he'll be back. I think, as much as Trump says he won't be back, he won't be back, he won't be back. If he's running, he'll be back. He might say he's not. I saw the comment that he said today he would not be on Twitter.
Yeah, and until he wants to start.
Until he is.
Right.
But his minions will be on there.
Isn't it like this all the time? We don't want you. I don't want to be there anyways.
Right. Groucho Marx said, I don't want to be a member of any club that would let me be a member.
So I think the markets are in a lot of trouble. What say you?
Yeah. Oh, they're definitely in trouble. Listen, we've been saying it all along. They're in a lot of trouble. They look very weak. They're acting very weak. But at the end of the day, inflation is a curveball here. And the market now has already accepts 50 basis point rise. Are we going to get 75? I don't think so. I think they're going to talk about it. What they're doing is they're paving the path for 50. So if you get the market all worried about 75, then you come in out with 50, the market breathes a sigh of relief, right?
Well, I guess. I mean, look, we both know that they're so far behind the curve that, now, does this, first of all, what's your take on what's going on in China? Okay. And with this massive shutdown and obviously that does a lot of damage to everybody because it takes a lot of
damage to the supply chain, and that's not good for the global economy. Listen, you put that together with Europe, that's in a world of hurt because of this war. I mean, they got a war on their border. They got energy problems. The global economy is not good, but the global economy is suffering from inflation. Inflation is not just a U.S. event. And inflation boosts the prices of all things. And we've said this before. Market prices can go up, but they could still get weaker in value because the value of currency is going down. Now look at the dollar index. It's exploding.
You're right.
The dollar's strong? No, the dollar's weak. It's just that all these fiats are weak. These fiat currencies are terrible. That's the weakest. To me, those are the weakest markets there are.
Not sure if the Russian debt default was discussed last week, but any thoughts from you two? Well, first of all, let's describe default. They didn't technically default. The U.S. said they defaulted, but they're really not in default. They're still doing business. Okay. And
they're getting a lot of money from energy and from commodities, and they're not defaulting. And by the way, look at the ruble. The ruble is strengthened.
Right. Okay.
They're not defaulting. What the U.S. government says now is rhetoric. It's not meaningful.
So let's not buy into the bullshit that this administration only passes along. Okay, because it's exactly what it is. It's bullshit.
It's total and complete bullshit. It really is. It really, really is. Because
there is no effect. The only effect on the world's economy is going to be the lack of wheat. Okay.
Right.
That we're going to have next year when starving people don't have food and we don't have enough here to supply the world. That's going to be the problem, not the fact that they went to default because they didn't go to default. Okay, it'll have.
By the way, the sanctions do not include gas and oil to Europe, and Europe is still paying Russia a lot of money. They're not going to default.
Right. So,
but what did Biden say? He said we're going to destroy the ruble. The ruble is the same as it was before he went in. Okay.
All I can tell you is this. Okay, I said this back then, and I'm saying it now. If I could have bought Russian debt, I would have bought it. Okay.
I agree. You weren't allowed to.
Okay, if I could have bought the RSX or whatever it is, whatever their ETF is, I'd have bought it. Whether it goes up,
you will find out that some of the biggest hedge fund managers and Goldman and these people will make billions on Russian debt because they bought it.
Exactly. The same way they did on Puerto Rican debt and New York debt.
There is no level playing field in these markets when it comes to those things.
Exactly. Okay. So, I mean, so this is a big problem. To add into the inflationary times, it's going to be a big problem, and it will be a big problem for companies because how are they going to make numbers without goods?
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
So do you have any bitches today, sir? I mean, I know a lot, but you want to pick one? Or
yeah, I have a big bitch. I had a horrible weekend, Bubba.
Okay.
I have a Mac, right?
Yeah.
Big mistake. So I have this program that allows me to run CQG, which is my platform, through that. And my subscription with this special program parallels to be able to run my Windows on my Mac. It was up. So I renewed the subscription, and I also downloaded my new operating system for the Mac over the weekend. And the new parallels blew up my computer, blew it up to the point where it was unusable. So I actually went out, I got a new computer. I got I got, now I'm on a regular HP, much better, all good. But my bitch is these software companies. And then part of the subscription was that you get a number to call and you get technical support.
Yeah, but it's your fault.
No. I got technical support. It's a recording that tells you to go to their website. But what happens when the software blows up your computer and, so I'm on my iPhone struggling to go to their website and there's nothing. There's nothing to help me. So now I'm like livid with this company. That's my bitch. But thank God I worked all day yesterday. It's back. It was up and running this morning, and I didn't miss a step. So I'm happy about that.
Oh, again, but anytime you call for help, it's always your fault first.
Yeah, it's Parallel, Salesforce, all these places. They're all full of what.
No, that's
they're great at selling. They're terrible at executing.
No kidding.
That's a fair bitch, right?
That's a pretty good bit. I mean, it makes sense. It's logical. I mean, these guys, look, obviously, I'm not a big fan because that's what makes Tom so special. He's the one guy that gets it all. Okay?
Oh, yeah. He's a good man.
But
good man. So how are you enjoying windy Las Vegas?
I'm not. But
your allergies killing you? I know.
Coming up to Mother's Day, I got to be home for my mother.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
My son and my daughter.
And I just scheduled, I'm going.
And even my wife.
I won't be here. So the Monday after Father's Day, because I'm going down to Florida and bringing my granddaughter to meet her great-grandfather for Father's Day.
Oh, that's wonderful. Very nice.
That's nice. That'll be good.
Very nice.
So everything else is hunky-dory, and I'm in a lot better mood today than I was over the weekend because at least I have, you don't realize how much you depend on technology. And when you hit a speed bump with it, it's a nightmare.
Twitter will hit 30 before 50. Well, it's 52, so I don't know how you can say it'll be.
They're going to do a cash out and it's gone. There is no Twitter. And you know what?
It's 52 right now, so I don't know what you're telling me there.
Right. Here's my prediction.
Okay.
Give it a year, 2 years, he'll bring it public again. Or he's got some idea. He's going to fold all these into some mega corporation to be bigger than Apple, and then he'll roll it all out. Maybe he'll take Tesla private and he'll put it all in this mega company because for him, he wants to be the biggest.
Right.
So who's the target? It was Bezos for a while. He left Bezos in the dust. Now it's got to be Apple.
And probably.
Yeah. So, hey, listen, when you're the richest man in the world, richest person in the world, you have to have a goal to keep you going. So he's got goals.
Yeah.
I respect the guy. I like him. I like that he's irreverent. I like that he's really smart. And I like that he says what he thinks. I don't agree with him about a lot of things, but I like that he says it. He has the cojones to say it,
Listen, I think he's a real guy. That's the thing. That's what I take from him. I think he's not one of these phony pieces of crap that gives you a bunch of.
He's not a Jamie Dimon or a Warren Buffett or a manipulator. He's who he is.
That's what I think. I mean, that's how I look at him. I think he's.
I like him. I do like him.
As do I. Smartest man in the world. Yeah. I mean,
very eccentric, but he is brilliant. He's building an empire.
You want to send cable, right? Well, yeah, they're all trying to do that now. I mean, and by the way, just a heads up that those new 5G boxes that you can get for your home for cable instead of cable or instead of the Wi-Fi work like a charm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Unbelievable speeds. I have it as a backup to my hardwired, but unbelievable speeds. Incredible. I could actually
I'm so happy to be done with Apple. And you know what? I loved Steve Jobs. I think he was a brilliant guy. Actually met him twice. Loved him. But Apple, their products, for what I do, for what you do, they're horrible. They're horrible. They're just not user friendly. And I'm very happy to be back on the other.
I've had two apples, but would only had them because they were given to me, not because I took them. I would never use Apple. Apple's good for young kids and for college and graphics, not for anything else.
Yes, and they're going to be unseated as the world's biggest company eventually, and I think it's going to be Musk who does it.
I believe so. Listen, I can see that. I think Bezos is kind of taking a little bit of a break, it seems like, and Musk is just hungry and keeps on going.
I think Bezos is through. He wants to be a political manipulator. I think that the other guy, Zuckerberg, he doesn't even figure in the equation anymore.
Is there any way that Tesla doesn't eventually come crashing down? I don't think so.
By the way, their earnings were incredible.
All I can say is this, my brother. Okay, everybody thought that about Amazon way back in the day, and they could never make it. Their PE ratio is too ridiculous. Nothing fit, and all of a sudden now it fits.
Right, and the price of an asset is always the right price, and whatever it's trading at, it's the right price.
I've lost a lot of money trying to be short because I know that it can't make money, but all of a sudden they're making money and they're doing well and they're going to do better, and this whole industry is picking up, and they're certainly one of the leaders.
By the way, just because Joe Biden doesn't invite him to the EV conference at the White House doesn't mean he isn't the most important factor in that business.
Well, Joe Biden's an idiot. Let's not confuse facts with fiction. Joe Biden's an idiot.
Well, but he doesn't make that decision. It's Ron Klain and his people.
Well,
they don't invite Musk because they're afraid, because they know Musk is smart and they know he knows the deal.
But of course, if Donald Trump was in office, for example, and
of course he would have had Musk there.
We're not inviting Trump. We're not inviting Musk. What do you think he would say?
He would have invited Musk.
That's right. Okay. So
he might not like him, but he would invite him. He's important.
I mean, he's one of them. He is the one guy. Elon Musk is the one guy who brought, we've had electric vehicles around for quite a while. Okay, in bits and pieces. But he is the one guy who actually got him in bulk and got him out on the roads and running. And I think he'll solve the
why that is? You know why that is?
Go ahead.
That is very simple. Most CEOs, they're CEOs. They have accounting degrees. They know how to look at balance sheets. They tend to be good salespeople. Elon Musk is an engineer. He knows how things work. His brain works like that. So when he has a problem, he's a problem solver. He's not a marketing man. That's what separates him from the others. He's a problem solver. And that's why he is special.
Right. Okay. Right. And I think it is because they pander to the auto unions. Well, that's another problem, of course. But I think Netflix is a different story. Again, Netflix was the competition in Netflix is so much different. Okay. And Netflix, I think Apple made a mistake, and I think Netflix made a mistake. They should have sold it when it peaked a while ago.
Yes.
Okay. Because this industry is so becoming so crowded. I mean, I turn on my Roku, there's 85 different places to go.
By the way, I'm not pumping him on his investments. I'm not saying Tesla's going high. I'm not saying his company. I'm saying he's a brilliant guy. I'm pumping him, saying that I respect this guy a lot. As far as his stocks, I don't know what to share at Tesla, nor would I.
I mean, neither. Okay.
Nor would I. And if you put a gun to my head, I probably would short it, but I wouldn't go near it.
Right. I'm not, listen, again, he's busted us. He's from Japan. He, actually he's from Georgia, but he lives in Japan now, and he's giving us some shit. But,
okay.
He's just playing his little game with me right now. But again, at the end of the day, I would never buy a share. Okay. I might buy the car someday, but they have to come out with a better pickup truck. Otherwise I'll never buy it.
By the way, his people love him. The people who work with him and with him for years, they love him. You know why? Because when Jamie Dimon walks into a branch at JP Morgan, he can't relate to the teller or to the person who's there, the branch manager. He can't relate to them. When Elon goes onto the floor of the assembly line, he'll put on a hard hat and he can talk, and he talks the same language. So that builds respect.
Right. No, look, as I said, I'm in agreement with you all about Musk, and and Musk is a phenomenal operator and phenomenal at what he does. And at the end of the day, okay, he's got a great product. And yes, Ford did have one in 1914. The difference is that they didn't have a need for it, and they were more concerned about selling fossil fuels. Okay, we didn't have the same problems we have today in the environment.
We were busy colonizing Saudi Arabia back then.
Right. Or the perspective of even if it's, again, I don't see the same climate change. I said every week, I don't care. I can speak my opinion. I think it's still a free country for now. Okay. So I can speak my opinion. I mean, I don't agree with what these people tell us. I think it's all a bunch of crap. Okay. Again, that's my opinion. Okay. I'm not at all in agreement in any of this. And the other thing is, even if I were in agreement, okay, my question to everybody always is the same. Okay. At what cost do we want to destroy this country? Okay. Trying to get a greener environment when most of the world is not going to do anything anyways.
Well, yeah, that's my point, Bubba. So with green, I understand we want to have a clean climate for this, but India and China are over a third of the world, and they ain't going green ever, not in our lifetime. And you know what? We don't live in a bubble. It floats through the atmosphere.
No, we have a dome over the United States of America. There's no.
Oh, we have a dome, not a dome, a dome.
The United States is under its own dome.
It's under its own dome.
Yeah. So,
D-U-M-B, dumb.
Exactly. So, in the meantime, as we look at the market, and as you said, the dollar is skyrocketing. Well, again, it's not. Again, the actual price that you see on the board means nothing compared to what the value of what it'll buy.
Right.
Okay. And what's it going to buy? Okay. That's the question. Okay.
Maybe we should introduce a new product, the dollar index, but not measured against the euro and the pound and the yen. We should measure it against food and energy, and then you look at what the dollar index looks like.
Exactly. Okay. And again, if you've been to the grocery store lately, or you filled up your tank lately, you better be making a lot more money, because the typical wages have nowhere near kept up with the inflation that we have. Okay. You're not even close to break even. Okay.
Not even close.
Good.
You're probably down, I would say, conservatively, you're down 30%. Your dollar this right now buys $70 worth of merchandise compared to last year.
How do we help our kids who see it 21 years old, who see a backline? Well, they're brainwashed. Listen, I have to say this: our education system is horrible. Okay, our kids are brainwashed from the time they're babies until they get out of school. Okay, and hopefully you can train them that is not necessarily the case, and that a lot of this is think about it in one perspective. Most government issues, and this is all administrations, but it's particularly this one now, is about money. It's not about anything else. Okay, as I always tell you, life comes down to two things. One of them is always money, and this is about money, because their plan that they want $10 trillion for is 40 years from development. Okay, so what are we going to do in the meantime? Keep paying Saudi Arabia and keep supplying everybody else and going broke ourselves? In the meantime, Connie, the dollar is making new near-term highs. I would say, we're still long it, as of course the support is about $1. Okay, $101, and there is no resistance right now. I mean, it's just headed higher now. Basically, based on the way it drove up today, but last 3 days, basically, I expect to see some consolidation. 101 to 102 for now, but I'm not a seller. Okay, remember, I will tell you if I'm willing to sell it. Thanks to you, I'm making money. Well, that's good. That's better. I like that. It's always better to make more money. Okay, that's what we strive for. Okay,
you got to make money to keep up with the fact that the money's well lost.
You better keep it right. And Bitcoin had a nice little dramatic turnaround, but it's going nowhere fast right now.
It's going nowhere. Dead in the water.
The only case I can make for Bitcoin is it looks like it's made some new support at 38,000, 39,000. But there's no I mean, really, all it's really telling us right now is that it's really narrowing into a very tight. Oh, I got to go back to the euro currency, but I will. It's making a tighter range, which only means that it's going to make a bigger move. And I think you and I both agree that that bigger move, when it comes, is going to be much higher.
I agree. It will be much higher. But Bitcoin, like gold, like the dollar, it's based on faith. It's faith-based. It's faith-based. They're all the same. The difference is that Bitcoin gives the middle finger to the governments.
Right.
And that's important.
Right.
Right.
And, so, I mean, Bitcoin, if you're looking for levels, 38 to 43. Okay. 38,000, 43,000. The euro currency, which I just skipped over, obviously is going to 88 cents. I tell you that every week, and it's still headed. It's still headed.
Gotta go parity first, buddy.
And we're still short. It's going right. It's going to the buck, and that won't be long. Again, there'll be some rallies in here. Look, as I tell you, the markets don't go straight down. And notice the resistance last week is right about where we told you it should fail, and bang, it failed like it should have. And here it is,
Bang zoom,
breaking down again. Now resistance is 108, and there is no support. Okay, 108, no support. We're still short. Okay, the bond markets. Well, we said last week, okay, that we would expect maybe 142. Well, look where we got to today, just over 142. Okay, and it's going to 133, 136.16, I think is a number, but I never get it right, but it's a good guess anyways. It's within the range. But 136.16, okay, is where Andy's got his major level. And again, I see no problem in going there. And in fact, I believe personally that it will go much lower. Okay. Look, could I be right? Well, I could be right. I could be wrong. I mean, it's strictly a guess, but interest rates are not going the other way anymore. Interest rates are now going up on a regular basis, not down. What do you think?
interest rates are going up, no question. But look at where they are. They're still low. They're still very low.
Yeah.
The Fed is not going to do 75 basis points. They'll do 50. They'll probably do 50 for a couple of months in a row. Okay.
You think?
I pay 14.5% on my first mortgage. At 5%, it's still not that expensive.
No, I mean, right. No, it's still cheap money, but it's still at 5%. The rates are still nominal. It's negative. So
right, very negative.
Right. Okay. Anyways, Connie, 138 to 142. I'm a willing seller. Okay, I have no desire to even get near here. I think that again. I think these are going. I think you're going to see the 10-year close to 5%. Okay, maybe higher. Okay. So look, remember, like any other market, when they get going, they can run for a lot longer than you think they can. Okay. And if you look at where we've come from, I mean, again, in real dollars, this last move was $20,000 a contract. Okay. On a one lot, if you're trading it and holding it. Okay. In the meantime, we're still short, and we're short the notes as well. Interesting action in gold market, but was it really interesting? I'd like to get your take before I give my opinion.
Listen, gold is like a currency and a commodity. It's somewhere in between. So the volatility is less than commodities, more than currencies. Interest rate going up tends to be bearish for gold. I think gold is going to be back. I think we spent last year trading around 1,800. I think, 1,900, 1,940 will be kind of a pivot point now. And I don't think it's going to trash. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I mean, I did an emergency hit for Kitco today. Yeah, 142, Ash. I did an emergency hit for Kitco today because I go, what's the big deal? I mean, but I thought the clear sign, and we were long until today. Okay, we got short this morning. Okay, we got short at higher levels in here. But I thought for sure that the 2,000 was the key number. And if it couldn't get above it, it could be trouble. And certainly it has done basically nothing but go down since 2000.
Right.
Okay. Now, again, does that mean that I hate gold forever? No. It means that I'm willing to buy more physical gold. I'm just not, I'd rather be short paper gold right now. Okay. Which we are. In the meantime, gold is 1900 could be the new level. Listen, I think there's a chance it goes to 1850 or 1800 before this is done, but I don't think it flushes to the toilet. I mean, again, today, this morning or overnight, because of what's going on in China, there's a lot of selling overnight coming into today.
Right.
So I don't take that as anything meaningful right now. Let's see.
Yeah, I mean, I agreed. And last night when I went to sleep, it was like 1930. And when I woke up this morning, it was like just below 1900. And I said to myself, I said, you know what? We'll see below 1900 in the morning, just because it just felt that way. Felt heavy.
Right. I mean, again, the failure, it was huge. These failures, when they fail the way this failed, is pretty big. Now, again, does it mean it's never going up again? No. Listen, right here.
Palladium's the one that really failed today.
Oh, you can vote. Right.
This is $250.
This is pretty solid support here at 1900, 1899. That again, I can't give you the exact, but somewhere in that neighborhood. But it wouldn't surprise me if it broke. But it also wouldn't be surprising if it turns around and I get trapped and have to reverse again and take a small loss again.
Right.
Okay. I mean, look, I don't think we're going to zero. I don't think we're going way down. I don't think this is bearish. I think that this, first of all, was part of the overnight trade, was basically, hey, we're selling everything. If you got up this morning, I don't know if there was any green anywhere on any screen other than the bonds.
They were selling everything this morning, including stocks.
Right. Everything but bonds and notes were being sold like reckless abandon so far.
Right. Right.
In the meantime, I'm going to say, Connie, I'm going to give you 1850, which is kind of like an emergency support. Now, watch 1900. I think that's the best thing to say is watch 1900.
Yeah, and it could turn out to be like what you said at 2000. If it can't get through 1800 convincingly, it could turn higher now.
A question: does the price of the dollar affect gold? Well, it has an effect, but remember,
a lot less today than it did.
Well, and also I want to remind you, okay, that correlations in markets don't necessarily have to be now. Okay, one market they can both go the same way. The last time that the dollar was up at these levels, okay, the grain markets were rallying at the same time. Okay, which is, again, every time I'd go on RFD, they'd say, well, what about grains? What about the dollar? I said, well, who do I care about the dollar? The market's going higher. When you're dealing in a market of consumable goods that are supply and demand, okay, it doesn't really matter. They're going to pay what they need to fulfill their needs. And I got news for you. Next year, based on what's going on right now, and based on, I think, the world stocks of food, okay, or food products, if the dollar go to $1.10 and the grains are still going higher, what do you say to that?
Absolutely. I mean, this is fun. I know you don't like fundamentals and the technicals agree, but you got a lot of people that need food and you're not producing that much. That's the problem. So the price has got to go higher.
You're right. Okay. Everyone who works for Musk knows that he works harder than anyone else in the company, and they love him. That's why we love Bubba, because no one works harder on Wall Street to help traders. And that's true. Thank you. I appreciate the compliment. But look, at the end of the day, okay, yes, there is a correlation, but the correlation only plays when there's abundance of supply. Okay, that's when it becomes a player. If there's not an abundance of supply, as you know, people will pay anything. Silver, same as gold, it reached a key pinnacle and failed miserably and has been down every day since. We are short silver now as well. Now, again, is 2350 going to hold? That would be the level that I'd be watching. Again, I would not be, look, I will tell you what I think, and I'll give you my opinion. I wouldn't be surprised if we make money on silver this time. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't make money on silver this time, because I don't know how much energy it's going to have to continue to push itself down with what some of these world events that are going on, and the way that gold and silver are interpreted by many. I mean, to me, I was asked a question, well, why isn't gold going higher? It's against equities. I said, because it's not a hedge against equities. At best, it's a hard asset commodity that may be needed as a currency at some point. Okay. Other than that, I mean, I think you should own it, but certainly I would not ever buy gold to protect my equity portfolio. Okay. So silver, look, 2350 is kind of a number, but if we break, the next level is going to be 23. I would say watch the 2350 area. I don't want to give you, we're short, but again, here I'm uncomfortably short, but I am short. Okay. But of course, I own enough physical, so it'll cover it up. But either way, I am short on the board. Okay. And platinum, which we don't trade, look at this. Jesus, this is going to zero. 900 is the next major level in platinum. Now, we don't trade this anymore, but I can promise you if we did, we would be short.
Put on palladium.
I will.
Yeah, because that's the big mover today.
Yeah. So palladium. There it is. And there's palladium. Okay. Looks a little bit like platinum. But a little bit like, but better.
Ugly move today.
So you know, I got to tell you, right on to Baba saved me 20K a month. Well, good. Thank you. I'm glad. I'm happy for you. But again, you know, I look at say, no, we don't trade palladium. I mean, you can't, it's not tradable. But if I'm looking at this chart, I'm looking to buy it tomorrow. I'm not, because I don't trade it. But this is something that I'd be looking to buy right now.
Yeah, that looks very blow off lowish.
Yep. And copper, well, guess what? See, now we stayed short. I mean, we didn't stay short. The system, the methods we do use stayed short. And look what happened. It broke all the way down, back down. And now here we are once again. It really, let me clean all this crap up, because I think this is important to look at. Yeah. I think this is the major benchmark area right here.
450 makes sense.
Right there. Okay. I think this is the major benchmark area. We go up and down, and one of these days it's going to commit to be up or down. I know you believe up, and I don't disagree, but it could be either way. All right. But again, this seems to be the magnet that continues to pull it, whether it goes up or it goes down. It seems to always end up right about here.
And isn't it funny that it's the 50% retracement of the move from last August low, just below $4, to the March high, just above $5. Midpoint, pivot point. Makes sense.
Some of these metals, though, are of industrial value, and are you short for the short? I'm always short for the short term. I'm short until it becomes long. Okay, I don't listen.
It's all technical. It's all technical.
I'm using an algorithm that does great in a trending market, gets chopped up in a consolidating market. Okay, very simple, very basic. Okay, but again, I mean, am I going to outright just walk away and short things? No, that's not what we do. That's not what I do, and I would never. That's not my thing of what I would do. Okay, I would, if you're shorting, you can only go to zero. You can't get massive appreciation.
Right.
Okay? Versus, so again, I don't care if it's an industrial, I don't care what it is. Okay. If it's going down, I want to participate. Okay.
China, the question is, hasn't the Chinese property market supported industrial commodities? Could it come to an end with the recent property trouble there? China will continue to build. They got a lot of people to build for. And India is going to build. And the U.S. has got an infrastructure rebuilding program. And a lot of this green initiative needs a lot of these metals. So, the bottom line is, I think that, it's inflation. Production costs are going up. So if the metals prices don't go up, the producers are going to cut back on production, because it's going to cost more to produce them than the market price.
I'm going to give you one more quote from my Kitco interview, since you asked that question. You never know what is actually factual that is coming out of China. Okay.
That is absolutely true.
Okay. So again, you can take that and stick it in your pipe and smoke it.
And by the way, what we see in China is what they want us to see.
Correct. Okay.
That's even more of a qualification. They are master manipulators.
Copper 450 to watch. That's all. Again, we're short. Okay, but I'm watching 450. I mean, again, I'm not going to change until my algorithm changes. But for those who watch it, 450 is the number to watch, up or down. Okay. Corn. What a day in the grains today. They were lower. They were higher. In the meantime, look at corn doing exactly what we described it should do last week, churning in consolidation as it continues to just build another level so that it can go higher. Okay. Now think about it that way. I mean, these are going higher. I think.
And the next high takes out the all-time high.
You know, I think they're going into over 10, maybe $11.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, again, could I be wrong? Of course I could be wrong. I'm not trading this. I'm just guessing. Okay. I'm interpreting what I'm watching. I'm interpreting that I know there's going to be a shortage. I'm watching the money. Okay. Everything suggests that commodities have to go higher. Okay. In the meantime, for today, 780 to 815. Okay. And we're long. Okay. Soybeans, they were down 30 cents. One guy asked me this morning, he says, is this the time to press? I said, well, you're already pretty big. I would wait. Okay. And see, I'd like to see it. Give me proof. But again, this is doing exactly what we expected as well. It is kind of hovering, but still generally in a much longer term uptrend. And as we've said almost every week, the next time this comes out of the teens, it won't be at 12. It'll be in the 20s. Okay. Now, for those who don't believe that, when I first started, and I don't know when it was the first time, but it was probably 30 years after I started, November beans never traded at over $8. Okay. Well,
Yeah,
guess what?
in 1973, they went to $12.90 a bushel. And then they were below $8 for like 3 decades.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So, look,
and that's why, by the way, that's why people would say, oh, beans in the teens, because in 73, they went to $12.90 and they stopped just short. And that's where that was born. But it never happened until like when? 2008 or something.
in my career, they never closed over $8. I think the first time they were over $8 with that big bull rush was in 06, 07, 08.
Yeah.
So in the meantime, beans 1640, 1720, we're still long.
And remember, the other thing is, every big rally we've had in the grains has been weather related, over the last couple of decades. This is different, man. You got a war zone in the breadbasket of Europe. This is much different.
What about and the input cost? Everything is leading to the higher prices. And then remember, I don't think the weather's been priced in yet. And the weather's not been.
Well, we don't know what the weather's going to be here. And the weather in South America was lousy.
Yeah, they had a bad year.
Yeah.
And wheat, the same thing. Look, it was all over the place. In the meantime, it's just hovering somewhere just under 11, above 11.
I laugh. I read something. Someone wrote, "Oh, wheat is weak. It's come to wheat is weak. Over 10, it hasn't traded at over $10 since 2012. Come on. It's the decade high, even after falling from the high. Come on. These are very strong prices."
So it's going to go much higher, I believe, and I think you believe as well. In the meantime, right now, it's probably 1050 to 1150 is the range it's going to trade. And if you think that's a big range, it's got an 85.
You gotta be wide in these. You gotta be, because if you're setting your risk reward parameters based on these, you got to widen out in these markets.
Right.
Wheat ain't $4 anymore.
No, when I started, it was 3, 2, 3, and 4 when I started. And of course, feeder cattle. Look, it's stagnant. I think the cattle markets, both, which we are short both, are very much dependent on the price of oil and people's budgets, because at the end of the day, you got to fill up your tank and you got to eat. Okay. Now, from a technical standpoint, it's pretty much sideways. To me, if I'm looking at this chart, is this still May?
Feeders, yeah, it's still May for a couple more days.
Let me go to my other chart. What are they considering front?
I look at May.
May is still front, 160. Yeah. Okay, that must be April. I guess. I don't know. In the meantime, again, this is just kind of churning around. It's kind of just hovering, and I think it's directly correlated with crude and with people's budgets. I mean, money. This is the best protein, cattle. Okay, so we're short, and I would look at this chart, and I would say 160 to 158 to 166. Okay, I'll do all the grains. I'll do all the meats right here. Makes it easier. And of course, hogs down limit today. Now, not a surprise. I told you last week that we would see a limit down day at some point because it was going up too fast. Well, it came this week. I'm sorry I missed by a couple of days. This is why I don't give you a timing on it. But look, I said to Scott on RFD today, I said, It's at 114. It's at 114. It's not 60 cents it went down limit. It's at 114 it went down limit. I mean, don't you think at some point there's going to be some selling? I mean, so, I mean, we're still long this, okay? And I made a mistake. I apologize to everybody. I made a mistake. We reversed feeders, okay? And we are long cattle. That is my mistake, okay? But I can't remember everything, but I can't remember all that. We had so many changes this weekend. It was unbelievable. But at the end of the day, okay, hogs are long, and look at where they went to. Look at where they came from. We kept saying, back in December, okay, that they were awfully expensive for December. Remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. So in the meantime, natural gas, we are now short natural gas. Obviously it peaked at $8 again and then failed, and we came straight down. So naturally we got short. And again, what was the reason? What was behind the rally today? The people want to know. I said I don't really care, but do you have any idea what was behind today's rally?
Look, natural gas is a much more international commodity than it has been in the past because of LNG. So now the administration is trying to twist arms to get the stuff earmarked for Asia to go to Europe. So it's putting pressure on. And we just started the injection season. The injections are small. We're way behind. I think we're let me just take a look here. We are on the inventories, 22.8% below last year's level in inventories, and almost 17% below the 5-year average. So inventories are low. They're not allowed to frack. The bottom line is demand is good. Prices in Europe are sky high. Prices in Asia are sky high. We're shipping it out there, and we don't produce as much anymore. That's the reason the natural gas is where it's at. Now, this is a wild commodity. This thing's going to swing all over the place. But we went to over $8. That's the highest price in 14 years. I'm not surprised that it's sold off. But look where it's sold off to, $6.80. When's the last time natural gas was at $6.80 in April, Bubba?
Never. I mean,
2008. 2008, when it was on its way to 15, or 13.
I can't remember. Yes, LA is long. You were in bean oil and got stopped out in the middle of the night. Naturally. The one problem with overnight trading is a little bit thin, but natural gas, I would say, is probably $6,
Yes.
$6 to $7.50.
Yeah, I like that range, Bubba. That's the right range, $6 to $7.50.
$6 to $7.50. It should be a $3.50, but of course we don't want it to be there. We want to continue to pay high prices. So, and crude oil, which was
by the way, we have over 4 quadrillion cubic feet of natural gas in this country, but we're not allowed to touch it.
Right, and they did the same thing in Ontario now too.
I know.
It's unbelievable. But anyways, crude oil was down much bigger. It was down over $6 today at one point, and it did rally back. And again, we're still long. It's really just stuck in a range. I have no idea what the selling in crude oil was about today. I
think it was just general selling this morning in everything. Everything was sold this morning. And everything
I mean, that was a pretty big move. And again, there might have been some reason behind it, but who knows? But again, the actual facts have not changed. Okay. The issues have not changed. You could maybe say it was down because there's a slowdown coming, but that I don't know how much effect that's going to have on people.
I will say, I think the fact that Marine Le Pen got 43% of the vote in France affected markets today in general, if you're talking geopolitics, because that's a pretty big percentage for a very far right candidate in a European country. And that's a sign that the French and other Europeans are sick and tired of this thing.
Could be. Okay. In the meantime, 95 to 105 in crude oil, 95 to 105. Okay. And we are long. Okay. Cocoa, which we're short. Look, it for whatever reason, cocoa is a weak commodity at the time. Okay. Again, obviously we don't ask why. We just want to get with the trend. Okay. That's the bottom line, is we want to be in the side of the trend. Okay. and the trend is down. We're short, and look, to me, I think it could go to $24. Okay, but certainly at some point, it could be substantially higher. Yes.
Yeah, of course.
So, and cotton, which we are now short as of today. Look, it peaked at 144. Okay, it has now come down. Now 132 is pretty solid, but listen, we've had a monster run. Okay, and a 10% sell-off is not the end of the world. Okay, but again, as Andy and I both expect, I think commodities are going to eventually go much higher, and not maybe because they're better or worse, but because first of all, demand, second of all, the currencies, third of all, the input costs that get these things growing. I mean, again, there's a lot of stuff that'll lead to higher prices, and if farmers can't get the higher prices, they're not going to farm it. Okay, remember, you see the final product in a store on some of these things, or in your blue jeans or whatever. But in the meantime, do you have any idea what it costs to get it there? Okay, and these costs now, there's some real dramatic stuff. It's funny. One of the first TV hits I did with Kudlow, and they were talking about cotton, believe it or not. And I think cotton had gone, I don't know, 70 cents or whatever, 60. I said, Larry, cotton from a retail side is less than 1% of the cost of the pair of jeans. Okay, but all of a sudden now, that those costs are going up dramatically. Okay, and these are now real costs, not just driven by a market. What do you think?
Yeah, there was a time when cotton, before it really blasted off, actually after it blasted off and got to 227 when it came back down, there was enough cotton inventories to make like 5 pairs of jeans for every person on the earth. It's a small part of it's the production cost, it's the trade disputes. In India, they play all kinds of trade games with it, and they're a huge producer and consumer. So there's a lot of geopolitics going on and trade factors going on with cotton. But right now, it's inflation.
No, again, and my cotton guy is here. Who we talked about the cotton when it was 49 cents. I just buy it. Okay, I mean, crude oil shutdown probably. Look, I mean, China might have had some effect. Again, I think the shutdowns had some overnight effect on markets in general. But it has no effect on the overall usage, that I don't think.
No,
I mean,
and the price is $100.
Okay. Does contract expiration and rolling contracts contribute to lower future prices? No, not necessarily. I mean,
they can sometimes, and sometimes higher.
Often they are trading in either in a backwardation or a contango pattern, but that is more to do with the current price action. I mean, the normal way would be, it'd be more expensive as you go out. But if you look at crude oil today, crude is going to be trading probably $10 cheaper or more a year from now.
Yeah.
Okay? If I go out and look at crude for next 1 year from now, if I go to June crude in 23, oops, I don't want that. I
think it's a little less than 10.
June crude is what I want.
It'll be a little less than 10 today.
June crude, come on. Get up there. Okay, so June crude for next year is trading at $89.
Oh, okay, $9.
Okay, so again, look at the prices continue to drop. Now that again, this is all this really says. This upfront backwardation really says that the fear is being in the markets now. Okay, and they assume based on pricing that this will eventually resolve itself out.
And who's driving the backwardation bus right now, Bubba?
Who's driving it?
Yeah.
We are.
No. Putin is driving the backwardation bus because it benefits him huge. It benefits them huge.
Oh, no. I mean, but we're the one who created this whole pattern.
Oh, yeah. No. We're responsible, but we've given them the baton to allow them to drive this backwardation to their benefit.
Right. So
that's what it is.
In the meantime, cotton would be like 130 to 140. Sugar, we're now short. And again, this has fallen pretty hard. And again, no different than other markets. And again, if you remember the phases of the market, we had a market that broke out in almost a blow-off fashion, tried to hold on, consolidated, and it had to make a decision which way to go, and it was lower. Now,
let it stop at around 1850, and then the pattern will be in shape.
1850 or 15?
1850.
Okay.
Cool.
And that would be actually, and that's actually turns out to be support.
Right.
So, this is like 1850 to 1950. Okay.
Yeah.
Again, right now it's trending lower. We did real well with it on the upside. We'll see what happens on the downside. And OJ, orange juice, Oscar Juliet. Again, look, you had a dramatic up move. You knew that it had to have some pullback, and certainly here it is. Okay. Now, these are still awfully high prices, even in this environment, but that's the price. So the price is the price, as they say.
Yeah.
Okay. But we are short, OJ. Coffee. Well,
Nowhere.
Very, 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 very choppy. We're still long.
Yeah, it was down 6 cents today, but look at the action. It's just hovering here, 220. It's
100%.
Nothing.
To me, I look at this 220, 220, 235. I mean, if you look at it, go back in time, here's a longer term view of it. Looks pretty good.
Yeah, healthy consolidation.
And lumber, again, lumber is kind of what it is, right? I mean, Andy said last week he thought it felt was a bottom. It did hold once again here. And where's it at? It's now consolidating between, we don't trade this, but between 8 and 10. This is an untradeable.
Yeah, you have to have your head examined if you try to trade this. I'll tell you, I probably have traded every single commodity that we talk about, and some that we don't. This one, I've never traded one lot of in my life. Never.
If we have a recession, doesn't demand wane? Well, demand can wane, but you're not going to stop. You're not going to stop going to work unless you're fired.
If we have a recession, it ain't going to be a typical recession. It's going to be stagflation, and stagflation is the worst of all worlds because prices are going to go up.
So, again, everybody keeps crying that demand's going to wane, but we're growing. Demand is going to pick up for other things. And remember, about 80 to 85% of everything that goes on in the world needs fossil fuels to work. Okay. So what misses somewhere gets.
Aren't we green, Bubba?
Yeah, we're green. We are. I mean, the United States is the greenest in the world. But
we are. Actually, our drinking water. Listen, I've been all around the world. You know that. The drinking water here, the air here. Walk down the street in Taipei, Taiwan, or in Bangkok, or one of these, or in Shanghai, and take a deep breath, and then come here and even go to Chicago or New York and take a deep breath. It's a world of difference.
Listen,
we're a very clean country here.
When you come to visit the United States, they don't say don't drink the water.
Right. No, it's very, very clean here. And that's why the bartender from Queens, who's really never been outside other than to visit her grandmother in Puerto Rico, there's no experience there. I don't even blame her. She's talking from what she's hearing from others. It's ridiculous.
Right. And again, there's a scientist that studies this global warming that plays a video poker at the Red Rock. Okay, that has told me all along that it's all BS. Okay, he says, why won't people get on there and tell the truth? I said, well, listen, what do you want? What do you want me to tell you? I tell them all the time. In the meantime,
because you know what, I'll tell you something. It's a hot button issue for young people that that care about their future and the environment, and it's kind of a political tool to mobilize younger people, the Gen Z.
You know what? Well, let me say this to you. Okay, if they're really concerned about their future, they better they better worry about the spending of the money first, because without that, they ain't going anywhere.
Well, that's true, and they better,
where's the outrage when it comes to the budget issues of $30 trillion in debt? Oh, again, I want to see.
Have we heard that? Have we heard that every 25 basis points is 75 billion in debt servicing?
Yeah.
And by the way, that compounds.
Listen, again, as I said earlier, the youth are brainwashed into believing something.
Can I tell a little?
Totally
story?
Not true.
Can I tell a little story? A little controversial story.
Go ahead.
So, I have my granddaughter in Chicago,
right?
And one of my daughter-in-law's friends, who's very kind of woke, gave the baby a book. My son threw it in the garbage. It was the ABCs. B as in bisexual.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. That's where we are. That's where we are.
I know.
I mean, you know what? Be what you want to be. I believe people should be what they want to be. But please teach little kids, teach them math, science, the ABCs. Don't teach them this stuff. They let them make their decisions when they're adults. This is insane.
Agreed. All right. Well, that was pretty entertaining, and we will stop this call and we will get on to the actual Monday night call. Let me just stop this recording. Hold on. Okay, honey. Thank you. And record to the cloud. Yep. And what's up, everybody? Welcome aboard to the Monday night call. And in the meantime, he is very wrong. Since Industrial Revolution climate stopped being natural, ask him about acid rain. I don't want to get into this discussion now, but I have researched some of the stuff, and well, let's just leave it at that. I mean, again, I'm not a scientist, and I don't want to start, mouthing off, but I don't believe in climate change, and I don't believe in the amount that we're spending, and I certainly don't believe in destroying the entire middle class to fix it. Okay, but
I add one thing to it, that to address these environmental problems, we need worldwide cooperation, which we're never going to get.
Right. Okay. So it is Monday night, and of course, you're the one who wanted Chinese. I love these cartoons. But in the meantime, here's something I was looking at. With so many things coming back in style, I can't wait until morals, respect, and intelligence become a trend again. How about that, Denzel? You got to love that, because have we not lost basically our moral character in this country?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So, again, the debate about climate change, but whether, again, look, let's not, this call is not going to be about climate change. Okay. Again, you want to email me, feel free to, but I'm not going to continue to discuss it. I'm sorry, but I have lots of ground to cover and only so much time to do so. In the meantime, okay.
Right, we only have 4 hours, right?
And when I go 24 hours, we can discuss it.
It gets longer every day.
But in the meantime, the service people and public servants, we always thank you. Again, it's without you, we couldn't be doing what we're doing right now. So once again, as always, we will give you a big hearty thanks and salute you for what you do for us. Okay. Again, I think that, it's again, you guys make this country livable and actually give us our freedom, whatever little bit we have left. But in the meantime, as always, I give my thoughts. And of course, the Chinese stock swan commodities crashes, COVID plunges country into the darkest moment in decades. Okay. Now, again, is it really COVID? Okay. I still personally believe that COVID was sent around the world as chemical warfare. I think it was man-made.
By the way, who wrote that quote? Where'd that quote come from?
It came from some article I read.
Yeah, okay. It's interesting because remember, also, consider this. The one thing that the Chinese government doesn't want them to focus on, their people to focus on, is what's going on in Ukraine. And, there's a lot of devastation in that. So, maybe this control is to kind of, take the attention off what's going on over there. You ever think of that?
No, I get it. I'm with you, brother.
Control, baby. It's all about control.
100%. Is the bond market forcing the Fed's hand to hike faster? Well, I think we talked about this a long time ago. That for the first, and let's remember one thing. Okay, the interest rate that you pay has not very little to do with the Fed funds rate. Okay, the Fed funds rate, which is what they're talking about all the time, has to do with bank lending and borrowing from the Fed. Okay, that's what the true Fed funds rate is. Okay, you're paying, mortgage rates are about 5.25% now. Okay, so I was just complaining about 4.25% when I bought the house I'm in now for my son, and of course I took a 15 at 3.37. But at the end of the day, they're going higher. And yes, the bond market is forcing, but the bond market is actually making the banks more profitable right now.
Yeah, and the bond market, by the way, the bond market was telling the Fed last August that they better get on a stick, and they ignored them.
Well, listen, Ben Bernanke was the first blower of this thing back in 2013. Okay. He should have never let the markets dictate his terms, and he did. Okay. Now this is the comedy quote of the night. Yellen, inflation may have peaked. Okay. Now, is she not an imbecile or what?
Last year it was transitory. Now it's peaked. What'll it be next year?
Yeah. I mean, are you kidding me? This is laughable. We're not even close to peaking at these prices. Okay. And with the more issues,
Any economist who understands, and you talk to Mohammed Al-Arian, and he'll tell you, inflation is a vicious circle once it gets going. It's very hard to stop. And you know what? You can't call. It's like we never call the top or the bottom in the markets. What is calling the top or the bottom of the markets about? It's about ego, right? So why is she call the trend in inflation is higher? She's calling a top.
I mean, it's almost laughable.
Stupid.
Using Ethereum and Bitcoin, not the yuan, to avoid U.S. sanctions on Russia. Well, what do you think? You think they're not smart?
Of course they're smart. They use gold and they use anything else they can, or diamonds. They'll use everything.
Because, the Chinese and Russians have been using blockchain for 10 years. Okay. Trading gold for oil and things like that.
The problem is they're not liquid enough for them to use the big quantities that they're able to.
You have to remember one thing, okay? That unless you hurt somebody in their pocketbook, your sanctions are absolutely worthless.
And look at the value of the ruble, and that tells the whole story.
Right.
Biden said we're going to decimate the ruble. The ruble is at the level it was before this invasion. We're not decimating them with these sanctions. We're not doing anything.
Unfortunately, Biden isn't even like a broken clock, right twice a day.
I told you that opposite George. Every impulse he should do opposite. We'd be in great shape.
So the sanctions are bullshit. They're worthless. Okay. Yellen's an idiot. Okay. And yes, the bond market's pushing it up, and and China's diverting. Okay, which is no surprise. They've done it forever. And today is not different. Okay, it's just like the bean markets here. When they needed a rally in beans, China's buying beans. Look, I've heard them all. Okay. In the meantime, from our good friend Connie, okay, the words of wisdom: a negative mind will never give you a positive life, and ain't that the truth?
That's true.
Negativity will never get you anywhere but backwards. Okay. There's many, and again, I don't even want to be around people that are negative. Okay, play poker for a while. They're all negative.
They're all negative. They all bitch and moan. I know.
But again,
I laugh at them.
You always have to start out with a positive. Can things go wrong and get upset? Of course. But the big scheme is you have to be predisposed to be ready to be happy and make the attempts to be happy all the time. Because again, at the end of the day, you will perform better. You'll perform your tasks much better by being a happier person, because negativity breeds crap. Okay. In the meantime, her words of wisdom, which I almost fell off my chair laughing when I read it, but here you go. Okay. This is the State of the Union. Gender study is free. Just look in your pants. Class dismissed. $10 million saved.
I like that.
I'm telling you, I was laughing so hard when she sent it. Okay.
That's good. I like that. Send that to Randy Weingarten.
The
UFT,
United
Federation of Teachers.
Thank you, Connie. Very nice.
That's awesome.
Always good, but this one was especially good. It really made me laugh when I saw it. And of course, I bitch all the time, but my final bitch tonight will be okay. Now you would have to have seen It's a Wonderful Life to understand this one, but I believe it looks to me that our current administration wants us to live in Pottersville, okay, and wants us to be struggling, and they want to destroy the middle class. Okay, that is to me a very, very big problem, and we don't seem to be doing much about it. Any thoughts to that?
Yeah, it's very true, and if you really take the larger view and you look at everything and the control that the government's certain elements of the government are trying to to do and the globalism and it's all designed to keep individual freedoms down. And that's very sad.
I mean, and that's not what we fought for. And we have all this taxation without representation.
No, I believe freedom, we don't want to hurt. We shouldn't want to hurt each other. But that's not what the situation is. Look, you have people in Los Angeles now following people home from restaurants who are driving nice cars and pistol whipping them and stealing from them. And the cops are not arresting them. And it's like, in other words, there's like this kind of nefarious redistribution going on. It's very upsetting.
Yes, indeed it is. And that's what the young kids should be just upset about.
Yes. They shouldn't be worried about, look in your pants and, class dismissed. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, this is ridiculous. Anyways, so as we look at the markets themselves, and of course the Dow, YM, Yankee Michael, okay, and look, we thought that 35.2, was the tops, and it certainly was, and it looks to me now, I think that we're at 32.4 is the next major support. Today's bounce is nothing but a dead cat bounce, in my opinion. You had two major down days back to back. To get a dead cat bounce is not at all surprising whatsoever. 33.
And you know what? We say it all the time, Bubba. Like, we had a pretty ugly day Friday, right? And then we say, if it comes in higher Monday, watch out on the downsides. But if it comes in kind of really looking nasty, it typically rallies. And it was exactly that pattern today.
Right. And I actually thought we had a chance to get cracked early, once they failed. And I really thought we'd have a big rally tomorrow. But again, that's why I don't pick. I was expecting a rally, and I'm hoping against hope that this carries through into the morning, because I would love to sell them. Anyways, 32.4 to 35.2. But I mean, look, there's going to be a lot of resistance at 34,000, 34.4, 34.8. So, but the big range, because again, it feels like we're getting busier. It feels like there's going to be more action suddenly. Remember, we've been in a very quiet trading range market for quite a while, and I think they're getting ready to break out, and I do believe that breakout's coming to the downside. Okay, so in the meantime, 33.2 to 32.4 to 35.2, and the S&P Echo Sierra. Look, again, the bounce is no big deal. You're going to remember, if you remember what I talked about all the time, the drop was too fast against the mean. Okay, it's coming down. It would be no surprise to see some consolidation, and then for continuation down to the downside. Even if it bounced all the way back up to here, it would still not be positive. Okay, that's what you're looking at. But the initial drop is too fast. In the meantime, for today, 41.50 as support. And again, I'm not buying there no matter what. We're short them all. And I would think that 4,400 is the big resistance. 41.50 to 4,400. The NASDAQ, November, Quebec. Look, this is they're all going to test these lows, I believe, and go through them. But in the meantime, 13,000 is the support, and I think probably 14,000 is the resistance area. But I could make a good case for 13.7. Okay, 13,750. Okay, so look, I'm looking to sell. We're short, and I am not a buyer. I mean, I'm always going to be an owner of equities. Just because I sell them on paper or sell them as a trade does not mean that I'm liquidating my hedged position that's in my account. Okay, remember, one thing has nothing to do with the other. Short-term trading has nothing to do with long-term investing. Okay, and the Russell, Romeo Tango Yankee. Oh, so it bounced, and look at where it bounced from. Almost got down to the lows, virtually. Okay, again, 1900 is the support. 1975 is the resistance. Okay, and I have no doubt that, again, they all obviously dropped a little bit too quickly. There has to be some consolidation before a major trend can be built. I would hate, based on our positions, I would hate to see them go straight down from here, because I know it can't last. Versus if we go sideways and start going down again, that trend can last a hell of a lot longer. Okay. So, and somebody commented on the VIX earlier. I'm sorry, Con. Yeah, 1900 and 1975. And the VIX, we said 30. Well, I got close. I mean, again, it's right there. Came off it today. But look, there's no doubt. Now, again, I expect the VIX to probably, if you chart the VIX, I wouldn't be surprised if it comes back to 25. I wouldn't be surprised if it comes back to the low 20s, because this is how this works. You get a little bit of panic, you get a little bit of fear, and they push them up, and suddenly they revert back, and you get the same type of patterns that continue to evolve in markets. Okay, you get the FOMO, the greed, and the fear. That's what drives markets, anyways. So again, the VIX looks pretty strong to me, and I think, as we said, 20 is the new 10. You agree with that, don't you?
Okay.
Okay. So Apple, Alpha Papa Lima, which we are short. Okay. And again, is it a bad company? Are we short? No, it's going down. That's why we're short. Now it has earnings, I think, Thursday. Okay. If you do not have a position in this, I would not be putting on a position right now. Okay.
What are the options saying? $10 range?
Yeah, I can tell you. Hold on. I can do that right now.
I would say 10, 8 to 10.
8 to 10%. Okay. Well, let's take a peek.
8 to 10. Yeah.
Let's take a peek. Okay. We can find
$10
out.
range.
$9.
Yeah. Okay.
About 7%.
Yeah.
6%, whatever it is. So again, there's not great big expectations, but again, Apple, remember, the bigger the company gets, the less it is affected by items at that particular time. Okay. I always refer back to the Johnson & Johnson in the 70s with the Tylenol problem when they had the poison. So, I mean, again, Pfizer is a drug company. They're not going to be affected the same as Moderna on news. Okay. But there is, it's a reasonable move expected. Now it could be bigger. Okay. It wouldn't surprise me. But again, we are short. And right now, 167.50 would be resistance, and support's about 157.50. Now, again, I would not take, we're in and I'm short, but I would not be taking a brand new position, okay, unless we get a trigger in our algorithm, which ain't coming around, but unless we had a trigger, okay. But other than that, I wouldn't be voluntarily taking a position until after earnings. And I will tell you straight up, after earnings, if it moves outside of the expectation of movement, which is, let's say, $7, if it moves 10, whichever direction it moves 10, I'm going the opposite.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Apple is an ocean liner. It's like a lot of these little stocks, they're like speedboats. They turn, they can zip up and down and all around. Apple, it's like turning the Queen Mary. It takes, it's a high beta stock. So if you have an overall market crash, Apple's going to go down with it big. But the individual issues, they're not going to affect it that much.
Right. 100%. Okay. In the meantime, again, 157.50, 167.50, AG, which we are now short. Okay. And again, look, this peaked and it couldn't get through. Okay. It couldn't get through the top end. And suddenly, okay, I can't get through. And like the rest of the metals and the miners, boom, down they came, and fast. Okay. As you've said many times, when they come down, they're going to come down extremely fast. And this is exactly what happened. Now, again,
elevated down, baby.
We know it happens. We know to expect it. Okay. What's it going to do now? It doesn't change what we do. Again, because we can never time the action that comes. We can only play it as it's coming. And of course, as I said, we are now short this. Okay. As I look at this, 1050 would not be a surprise. I think you're probably 1050 to 1150 is the levels I'd be watching, 1050 to 1150. AMD, Alpha Michael Delta, okay, which will remain short as well. And again, this is headed south. And the action that you're seeing right now is perfect. Okay, because here we were consolidating, and once again, we have now broken to the downside again. So now, really, what this does is this gives us a new resistance level at around 92, and support. God knows where it is, but it's probably down, around 80. Okay, for today, watch 88, but I would not be a buyer. I mean, I'm looking to be a seller.
Right, and the situation in China is not good for this semiconductor issue.
I'd be I think that, I'd be a seller at 92. I'm not a buyer at 88, but I would look at it and look for a rally off of 88 to sell more. That's what I'd be looking for. 88 to 92, which is a very tight range for the stock. And Bravo Alpha. Well, we're still short and it's still going down. Okay. Now, again, look at that. That is almost textbook.
That is so ugly.
Right. Where's Charlie Munger? Oh, he's retired.
He's retired. He's 98. He's retired, but he might come out of retirement if Baba goes back over 120.
I would say this, that the lows created a couple of months ago or whatever are destined to be touched. Whether or not it breaks through there, that I don't know, but they're destined to go and test those bottoms. That's one thing about market tops and bottoms when you're making movement. They're a favorite to test those levels. Okay. It doesn't always happen, but it happens a hell of a lot more than it doesn't.
Those patterns repeat. Yes.
Okay. Because markets repeat themselves over and over again. Okay. So in the meantime, Baba right now, 80 to 90. 80 to 90. And I would be a willing seller at 90 still. Okay. Bido, Bravo, India, Tango, Oscar, which we have not made a trade in. Again, I'm still, believe it or not, obviously, I'm hoping when the options come out that they'll be able to actually give us a reasonable spread into the future, as we do in all other commodities, because this is a commodity or currency, but it is a commodity because it trades off the futures market. But it is a way, if you want to be in Bitcoin without owning Bitcoin, you can buy it here. Okay. The disadvantages are you do not get the obviously 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But again, right now, it looks to me probably 24 is some support, 27 is resistance. But I'm not trading it yet as I continue to wait so I can see the formation of the commodities themselves. That's what I'm really waiting to see before I want to make any commitment, because I really have to see how these guys track against it, because then it becomes important. When you have backwardation and contango involved, that is where most of these ETFs fail. Okay. This is either they don't understand it or it's a way for them to get some extra money for fees. I'm not quite sure which one that is, but they do not track that well. That's why these ETFs that represent commodities are problematic. I know that you like some of them, but I think that my opinion is pretty much correct that they do not track as well, because
I like them as short-term trades. I would never hold these things for long-term.
So there's
some of them do a decent job tracking intraday. And if someone doesn't like to trade in the futures and they use them, I get it. For holding them for extended periods, I don't like any of them.
No. So again, 24 to 27, BitQ, which is just another version of a form of a way to own Bitcoin. We do not trade this one either. However, again, I do own it, and it is a way to trade Bitcoin. And I do own cryptos. I own the real cryptos, plus I own, some of these ETFs. Again, listen, this was $36. It's now 13. Okay, but of course, Bitcoin was 78,000. It's now 36,000. So, but again, this is made up of a lot of stuff, and the stuff that's in it is not doing very well. Okay, nope. Obviously, there's basically no support here. I mean, I would never personally short this. Okay. First of all, let me be clear. Okay. There is no stock or ETF that I'm naked shorting anyways. Okay. If I'm shorting it through a strategy, either short stock, long calls. I'm creating some sort of synthetic because I would never expose myself to unlimited risk. That's number one. Okay. But again, this is not what I want to short because I'm actually a believer in the crypto world. Okay. And I would be looking for a spot to buy it, which would be, today, I don't know. There's really kind of like a falling knife. I'd have to see, I want to watch the action around $13. I have really no levels because $13 seems to be a point. And I don't really want to, I don't have any support. So 13, I'd watch 13. That's the only thing I can give you here. Chewy, Charlie Hotel, Whiskey Yankee. And of course, we're still short this as well. And, it's a great company, but look what happened. Since we were the last together, it is now broken to the bottom side, okay, which means what? It means it's probably 90% is going lower. Now, could it reverse? Of course it could. But the probability is 9 in 10 times this chart is going to continue to go lower. Now, where it will find support next, I have no idea. Okay, but I don't think it's anywhere that I could even find it. Okay, we'd have to go back to 2020 to find any support in this thing. Okay, and certainly it doesn't look good either. I mean, everything points to much lower. Now, it's a great company, but it has nothing to do with how good a company is. Obviously, the financials, the markets don't like it. So
obviously, I mean, look, inflation is affecting these kinds of companies. They're paying a lot more, and then I'm, able to charge their customers. That's what I think is going on here.
would I own SPY long term? I do own SPY long term. You know that. Okay. Why are you asking me a question? You know the answer.
Because he talked about the ETF.
I said
we're talking about commodity ETFs.
Right. I specifically said the commodity ETFs, not straight stock to stock.
Right. And not GLD is a different kind of ETF because it's not really a commodity. It's a commodity. It's a financial. It's a little bit of both. So
right. No, I mean the major ETFs that are not leveraged or anything are fine.
Right.
Diamonds, Qs, IWM, SPYs, GLD, TLT. I mean, those are fine. They're going to track pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, Chewy, 36 resistance or so, 38 resistance. Again, 36 is first, and I have no support. Okay. Coin, well, it had a little bit of a bounce today, but we're obviously still short this, and it continues to go lower again. This is every print lower is a new low, a new all-time low because it's only been 6 months. Is that how long it's been here? Or a year?
Yeah, April 14th, 2021.
Okay. So again,
by the way, it traded up to 480, 430 on the opening day.
Right. It traded up 430 on the issue date. And then the next high was 360. And that's the last we saw of it. And they got, and again, I don't have any support to tell you about. I mean, the only support I can give you is that I like it. I like the company. I like what they're doing, but that doesn't mean anything because right now it's going lower.
Here's my take on this one.
Yeah.
Chanos is selling this one. I think what's going to happen to this one is just like with the one we're going to cover in a minute. I think that either the ICE or the CME is going to take them out when they get cheap enough.
You think so?
I think it's possible. Yeah. I mean, listen, Terry over at the CME and Sprecher, their business plan is accretive acquisition.
It doesn't make sense, especially because they're in exchange already.
Right.
And it's funny.
That's my opinion.
It's fun. Well, it's funny because Trade Your Brokerage, our preferred broker, is starting to use. They're allowing cryptos in your account now. They're going to actually trade them for you. So, in the meantime, 150 is probably the support. I mean, I could say 140, but in this kind of animal, it's pretty close. So I'll go 150 resistance. There really isn't much support yet. We'll see what develops over the week. DraftKings, well, as I said, but if it went below 15, I wouldn't buy it anymore, and I'm not. All right. However, again, I still think it's got a good chance to get taken over. They're still spending like a drunken sailor. Okay. They haven't stopped the spending side. Okay. They continue to market. And again, obviously that was their problem because of the limited amount of money they can make. But I still believe that they are a pretty solid takeover candidate, and that's what we're going to have to see. And in their business, they're the best at what they do. But again, it doesn't mean anything because the stock is going down.
Doesn't mean anything if you can't make money.
Exactly. Okay. So, right now we are short. Okay. And I would say resistance is probably $16. Okay. No support. Facebook, Foxtrot, Bravo. I got earnings this week too. Okay. I mean, listen, this is another short of ours that again,
this is a pig.
This is unbelievable. This is now broken to the downside. Okay. This is now broken below. Now, this is not as dramatic yet as Chewy was. So let's see, a lot will have to do with earnings, but based on what we're looking at, if they have not done all their damage pre-earnings, based on what the last earnings were and then pre-earnings here and done all the selling, this could go to 150. Okay. Right now, I would not be putting on a new position going into the earnings. I would never want you to be in a position going into earnings. I think that's a mistake unless you know exactly what you're doing. And number two, look, I would say that 200, 190 and then 200 is the resistance level, but I think you're better off again waiting. Let's see what they're expecting for movement. That'd be interesting to see. Facebook. Fox Bravo. $24. So about 12%.
Yeah, 12. Oh, that's big.
Yeah, they're expecting some pretty healthy movement. Again, I will say what I say to you all the time on earnings trades. All I'm going to do on this is I've already got a short position. Okay. But what I would do as a trade is if it moves outside of that 12%, okay, I will take the opposite side. Okay.
No, it's funny since he changed the name of his company, Bubba.
Well, Facebook earnings tonight? Were they out already? Hold on. I didn't know that. I wasn't paying attention. If I don't have something there, those earnings were not tonight. No, and there's no way those earnings were tonight. You got bad information. 427 is the earnings. Okay. 427 of the earnings. You got bad info if you think they were tonight.
By the way, ever since he changed the name of this company to
Meta,
it hasn't upticked.
Well, but the metaverse is upticking. Anyways,
he's in the metaverse.
Right now, just observe earnings on Thursday, or Wednesday. Wednesday, the earnings. They always come out on a Wednesday. First Solar, Foxtrot, Sierra, Lima, Romeo. And of course, we're still short this as well. They have earnings coming up as well soon. But again, we're at, you would say, if you looked at this chart, this is 70-71 is the key spot. Okay. If they break below this, here comes 60. Okay. I would look at this from 70 to 80. Okay. Earnings. Again, we carry positions always. I mean, we have a position 24 to 365 days a year, whatever the hell it is, and 24 hours a day. We're never out of a market. So, obviously we're short, and I won't change that, but I would not be adding a new position coming into a major announcement. Okay. In the meantime, again, I think we're looking at, 70 is the first place to watch, but earnings. So I would just be neutral for now. GDX, look what happened here. As called by Andy, when it falls down, and down it came fast. It took all this hard work that looked beautiful, and it took 4 days to knock it to the crapper.
Yeah. Now, no, what happened there is Newmont made a new all-time high, and then they announced earnings, and they announced a production shortfall, and they crashed the stock. So that's and Newmont's the major. I think the GDX holds 15% of its holdings in Newmont.
Okay. Facebook is in sandbag. It could be. We'll see. We'll see Wednesday. I don't have an answer because, again, I know one thing for sure. Markets go until they don't. And for me to try to figure it out is a fool's game. Well, because I am a fool. So in the meantime, we're short this now. And again, I would look at 37 as a resistance level. And I don't think there's any true support. 35 is a little bit, but I think the next real support is probably around 34. Okay. So 34 to 37. Goldman Sachs, Gulf Sierra. Okay. And we are long Goldman. Now it's not doing much. It's kind of just churning back and forth. Now, listen, one thing we know for sure, with all this interest rate crap going on, they're making nothing but money. But that does not necessarily mean the stock has to go higher right now. Okay. They are by far the best in the industry at what they do. Okay. And with these interest rates, the banks are making money now hand over fist. Okay. And it's a great business model when you know that you'll get bailed out if you make a mistake. Okay. So, I would say probably,
it's almost impossible for a bank to make a mistake in a rising interest rate environment.
Right. And
it is. I mean, you have to be really stupid.
And they get bailed out. They do. So there you have it. 315 to 330. Okay. But again, we're not sellers. We're only buyers right now. IWM, India Whiskey Michael. Again, look at that. Very close, but actually held the major support level. Okay. Now we're short. Okay. But again, held a major level and certainly could bounce. But again, once again, I remind you, that the speed at which it went down was too fast. And it would be no surprise to me if it consolidated along the bottom here for a while before breaking to the next level lower. That's what I would expect. Okay. In the meantime, 190 to 198, 190 to 198. Mara, Michael Alpha, Romeo Alpha, which we are short. Okay, and we do, this is the one crypto represent, well, this is coin that we show as representation. And again, it just continues to break down. Okay, and my key source says $6. Okay, that's when they're buying.
I've actually been saying it for a long time.
And they've been right.
Yeah, dead right.
Actually said to me, they said to me when it was up higher, they said, I'm not trading it actively anymore. I'm waiting, and I'm not even buying the dips anymore. Now I'm looking to sell it, and I'm looking for, between $6 and $9 for these.
Right. They said sell the rips.
No. So, and that is somebody who trades it daily. So I give them a lot of credence and credit, but now there's no support now. I think you got to look, I am personally not going to short this because I don't trade it actively. Okay. I'm shorted in my portfolio model, but as a trader, I'm not going to sit here and try to trade it. I got other things to trade. Okay. But okay, I'm not a big fan of being naked short either. These crazy stocks that are tied to like a Bitcoin, because that thing trades 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Okay. I don't want to get fractured on it by an accident. Okay.
And
So,
we don't know when it's coming, but it'll happen, and it'll be so fast when they move.
so in
So
the meantime, there's no support. 20 is resistance. Neo, November, India, Oscar. I mean, look, this is another EV that keeps going down, but this is a Chinese EV. Nobody knows what they're doing. Okay. In the
They
meantime,
don't even know what they're doing, Bubba.
we're still short. 20 is resistance. 14 is support.
I try to look at the balance sheet and stuff, and the financials in this company. It's all like Cayman Island stuff. It's all so confusing. You can't get a handle on this. The bottom line is that these are sentiment stocks. There's no fundamentals in them, and the Chinese government will never let you see what these companies have.
They let you see what Luke Coffee was when it went bust.
Yeah.
Nougat, November Uniform Golf Tango. Again, same as GDX, just a little extra on steroids from 84 to 60, and actually get down to almost 55 today. Okay. We're also short this. Okay. Look, at the end of the day, okay, I don't see any real support probably till 55. Okay. And then probably 50. We'll see. Again, a lot depends on what's going to happen with gold. There's a lot of factors that'll play in here, but the one thing we know for sure is this is a leverage ETF. Okay. And levered ETFs, when they collapse quickly, and it changes the multiplier. So getting it back up to 84 is going to take a lot more movement than it did the first time to get there.
Exactly.
Okay. So we keep that in mind.
And that's why if you look at a lot of people's portfolios, you'll see these things as dust collectors. They at one point owned 1,000 shares, and now they own about a tenth of a share.
Yeah, right. Exactly. It's from 55 to 65. And I wouldn't mind selling more. Okay. NVIDIA, November, Victor, Delta, Alpha. Oh, it got below 200. How about that? Okay. Again, we're still short. And again, it broke some key on, I guess, when it looks like Thursday of last week, it broke the key support level, and it confirmed that it's in a downtrend. This bounce is nothing. It's nothing more than the same as we talk about all the time. A little bit too fast. Expect some consolidation. Right now, I'd be a seller at 210. Okay. As I used to say on the trading floor, until my hands bleed. Okay. Is there a contra ETF for semiconductors? I have no idea. I don't trade those as a rule. And certainly I'm not looking at semiconductors, but if you email me the question, I'll find out. But right now I don't have time. Okay. In the meantime, in NVIDIA right now, 210 resistance, no support. Okay. Penn, another sad story. Now this is actually holding, reasonably well for the last couple of weeks. But
Morgan Stanley must be selling because they came out with a buy recommendation today.
really, and it's funny, that they're getting a lot of bad press. They're involved with Barstool.
Yeah.
And they're getting a lot of bad press for their sports books in Nevada. I'm not Nevada, in Colorado.
Yeah, I saw that. But Morgan Stanley did put it on their buy list, their recommended buy list today. I said, oh, I wonder if their traders are selling the,
They must be lying, trying to get out,
they're leaning out of it.
or they're going to take it over. In the meantime, obviously, we're still short this as well. And I would say probably 36 to 40. They have earnings in a couple of weeks, I know as well. The Qs, Quebec. Again, not a surprise what happened. Now that this did not break to the downside. It's getting closer. The steep drop is going to leave it probably going sideways for a while, but expect it to go lower. And I would say that, probably 335 is the resistance level and 320 is support. And we're kind of obviously mid-range. Look to be a seller. Riot, which is the other one of the group of miners or crypto miners, and of course this is also broken to the downside through the key support, and $6 is their number as well. And again, this has been much worse than Morrow when it used to be much better, but they both came from around $6 when they went to $85. Okay. And again, they will tie into, now these have got to be getting hurt. You said this last week. They've got to be getting a little bit hurt by the cost of electricity and the cost of everything else.
Yeah, natural gas. I mean, I think Riot's in Nevada, and natural gas is out of control. So this is, remember, when natural gas goes to $8 in the futures market, it's a license to steal for the utilities, because they're going to raise prices and they're not going to come down with the natural gas price.
Now, I would say this to you again: if you want to gamble on Bitcoin, this is another way to attempt to gamble, but you're at risk for a lot. I mean, percentage-wise, you're at risk for a lot.
Yeah.
But if you want to play that space, this is one of 4 or 5 ways that we do it. Okay. In the meantime, 14 is resistance. There is no support. Roku, Romeo, Oscar, Kilo, Uniform has earnings coming, and we're still short. And again, look at it. Look at that. It refuses to break through 100. Okay. Don't be surprised if on earnings it doesn't go well below 100. Okay.
Yeah, it'll sit there. Boom, 85.
I mean, earnings are either this week or next. I think I'm at April 29th. Is that right? Can that be right? April 29th? No, that's not necessary. Let me just get the date. Now that I open my mouth, let me just get it. Okay.
April 29th is Friday.
They could come out either. I don't know how they come out. April 20th. Oh, that is Thursday. They do come out this Thursday.
Thursday.
Okay. So again, Thursday is there, and don't be surprised if it goes right through it like a hot knife through butter. Okay. In the meantime, like I told you with the other earnings trades, again, remember there's certain stocks that earnings are much more prevalent and important, and you don't want to get involved in those. This is, actually, I should tell you what the projection is, as long as I've already done it. $17 move, 17%. This is going to move.
That's massive.
Okay, and I'm telling you,
$85.
it wouldn't surprise me if it was 83. Okay, 100 has been very, very dramatic in holding it. But it has actually, it broke through the first, but then it bounced right back into it. So this is like right at the moment, this is still considered a false breakdown or a false breakout to the downside. Okay. In the meantime, just observe it. Watch the 100 level. Square, I think, has earnings coming as well soon in the next couple of weeks. We're short Square as well. And again, this is kind of holding. It's been going down. And now it's kind of holding here. And there, let's just, as long as we're doing it, we'll do the job complete. Square has earnings on May the 5th. And that right now, based on current market action, their price action is also about 18%. Okay.
And let me tell you something. The market does not love Jack Dorsey this week.
Right.
They don't like him.
So, right,
now the knives are coming out. They're saying that Elon went in there and bought Twitter because it was mismanaged by Dorsey, and he's mismanaging Square, and this is all very interesting.
Colonel, which one is in Colorado and which one is based in Nevada? Do you know? off the top of your head? In the meantime, so Square, look, I would say 100. This is the $100 story goes for this as well as the others. Okay, I think 100 is the key spot. If it gets through there, it's certainly probably going to 80. Okay, for today, I think you're looking at 100 support, but we're short, so I'm not buying it. And I think 120 on the upside. Okay, SPY, Sierra Papa Yankee, again, same as the others. It's not reached the ultimate low yet. It's working its way lower. Today's bounce, again, I say was no surprise because it had gone down too fast, too quickly over the last couple of sessions. You know, almost 100% you're going to get some sort of a bounce at some point, and there it is. In the meantime, 435 is a great place to sell again if you want. And I think that, you're looking at the first real support is probably 415. Okay, but I think it's going to 410. I think it's going to test that low, and then we'll see. And I think it's going through it. But for right now, let's just let it test it. And TQQQ, look at this, just like the others, right? Even though it's on steroid, it still did not violate the major support. Now, we don't cover this anymore. And by the way, we're short SPY, we're short Square as well. We don't cover this anymore, but certainly, $40 is probably the support level right around. It's going to churn. And my words to you would watch 40. I'd love to sell. As I told you last Monday, I'd love to be a seller. I'm telling you this Monday, I'm looking for a spot to sell more. Okay. Tesla, Tango Sierra Lima Alpha. Well, it had a big rally, now pulled back, and look what happens. Suddenly, the pullback seems to be over for now. They're starting to consolidate. Had one false attempt to break to the upside, getting in a very narrow range. A big move is coming, and knowing Elon Musk, it's probably higher. We had that conversation in the pregame about this company, but again, no matter what their PE ratio is now, okay, they are starting to make a lot more cars, and they're doing a lot better than they were, and they've become much more of a business than they were, and their PE is 203. Okay, again, it won't take much to get that lower. And again, I warn you. And again, I would be a seller if I had a choice. If I ever made any money in that stock, but I never did, okay, I'd be a seller. Okay, I don't understand it either. However, I will remind you that Amazon was higher than this at one point, and not that long ago. And look at that stock now, and look at that company now. Okay, people are betting and booking the future on this as well, and obviously the industry itself is the future. So we'll see. In the meantime, 960, 1120. What a range that is. 960, 1120. Win, Whiskey Yankee, November, which we're short. Again, this has got to get hammered. Now, I would make this case, Andy. Okay, it's down and Win's down with us, 12% over the last couple of weeks. But based on what's going on in China, that's hardly a sell-off. If you look at that's where a lot of the revenue comes from.
That's true. I mean, I think they're doing very well here in Vegas, but it's all revenue. It's all Macau. And Macau ain't Shanghai, so Macau could be doing okay.
Mars in Nevada, thank you. Okay. Mars in Las Vegas. Okay. And riots in Colorado. Got it. Thank you, guys. Thanks for the help. Tesla has the X factor, not just cars, AI. I understand that. But again, listen, I've already admitted that he is a genius, and that I will bet he solves the battery problem too. Anyway, look, I'm not recommending this to anybody, but certainly when I see this stock, based on what's been going on in China, should be much lower. And it couldn't even get to the lows. And I know we're shorted, but I mean, I own it in my hedging account, and I'm going to buy more. Okay, because of this action. It gets nothing to do with my trading. It's purely an investment, but I think Win's a great company. I think it's a great property. I think their app is great. Look, there's nothing I can say bad about them. I know they're struggling now. But when I see something that looks like this, and this should be lower and it's not, that's kind of an indication that maybe it's kind of finding, or will find its bottom shortly. That's just a play and an opinion. Okay. And I'm going to hedge it. So if I'm wrong, I'm not going to get killed. Okay. In the meantime, for today, 70 to 76. XBI, well, there you go. This is now broken down. There you go. This is what we talked about. Now, this would be like the moment of truth if you trade this. Okay. It broke down. It rallied right back into resistance. Does it fail? That's what you're looking for. If it fails from here, you want to jump on. Okay. But you don't want to jump too early. You know, when I tell you levels, you have to be able to see the price action of those levels. Those levels are not permanent forever, no matter what. Those levels are based on what we're watching today. We're using the past to help us decide what's going to be in the future. But once they get to those levels, you got to take a look and make sure that it's acting, if it's a bullish stock, to be bullish, that it looks like it wants to go higher, or if it's a bearish stock that goes to bearish. In the meantime, I'd be watching 82. There's no support here. 82 is resistance, which is right here. I mean, it's around the corner. 82 and then 85. Okay. And zoom. Well, here we are. It refuses. It has done nothing but basically trend lower once again. It refuses to break through 100. But this is, I think that Roku, Zoom, and Square, they get through 100. Duck. They're going a lot lower. That's the way I see it. Any thoughts from you, sir?
They're like, remember JDS Uniphase from the
yeah, I was shorted and I had to cover. Okay.
Yeah,
I was short them all.
These stocks are just like the JDS Uniphases of these days.
In the meantime, levels for you, Connie, 100 is the key level to watch. I mean, you're right there. 100 and resistance is at 110. 100 to 110. Okay, so somebody asked me to look at VST. Victor Sierra Tango. What the hell that is, I have no idea, but looks pretty good. Vistra, it looked pretty good. What do they do? Okay. I mean, if I traded this, which I don't, but if I did, I'd be a buyer here. I'd be looking to buy it right now. If I traded it. And this is a pretty solid pattern. Okay. It's a nice uptrend. It's fixing the straight up move, and now it's going sideways. Hey, I could look at 25 or 24. Okay. JDS Uniphase stood for just and then Weyerhaeuser, WY. I traded this stock on the floor when I first started. Weyerhaeuser. Okay. Listen, this don't move enough for me to even think about it, but it's certainly up at the upper end of a recent.
It pays a beautiful dividend. It's a good stock. I mean, listen.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good stock to own. I think it's a good stock to trade.
No, not the stock. It's a whole stock. It's a dividend stock. It's you know, if lumber's going to go up, this thing will go up with it too.
Right. So look, I think that, you know, it looks fine. I mean, again, it's hard for me to get excited when I see pennies on the side is how fast it's going to move. It's hard for me to get too excited. If you're going to buy it for your retirement account, buy it and hedge it. Doesn't really matter where. Okay. What is their dividend? Let's just take a quick peek. Weyerhaeuser. Again, I traded this on the floor 40 years ago. That was in the group that I traded. Corning, Weyerhaeuser. Dividend 1.7.
Okay. It's not great, but it's
no, I mean, listen, it's something here, but you know, listen, the 50, it's 40, 32 to 50, 43 in this kind of market. I don't, like I said, I don't get excited about it. I don't trade it, but if I were,
I actually prefer the Wood ETF. Take a look at that, WOOD. That one has Weyerhaeuser in it, but has a bigger dividend, and it's kind of does the same kind of thing.
Yeah, I can't trade a stock that's got $20,000 shares of volume.
No, I understand. I'm talking about, I like this rather than trading lumber. And by the way, 20,000 shares of volume for a stock like this compared to lumber, this is very, very liquid compared to lumber.
You're welcome, Ken. Mosaic. Oh, I love Mosaic. MOA.
Crash today.
Well, what's not surprising.
Yeah.
Honestly, as I told you the other day, what did I tell you the other day? When you asked,
it's too steep.
I said 64, 65, but I'd love to buy it at 60. Okay.
Right. Too steep. It got too steep.
You know, look, again, I think it's natural. It looks great. Okay. I would not be afraid to buy it at all.
No, fertilizers is the place to be.
And PayPal, Papa Yankee, Papa Lima. Looks pretty bad. Now this has broken down. Okay. That is broken down. I'd be a seller at 90. Now you have earnings. So I got to retract that statement. Wait till after earnings.
This is the stock that made Elon Musk who he is.
Right. Exactly. Okay. And CAG, was that Conagra? I traded that too. Charlie Alpha Golf. You're getting into my wheelhouse. This looks pretty good. I mean, again, I'm not a fan when it shows me this kind of movement, but overall, as an investment stock, I think it's great. Okay. And certainly at $35, I'd have no problem. I have no problem buying anywhere, but $35 would be the level I'd be looking for if I was going to buy it now.
And I mean, if you can look at that, look at ADM, because that one's been in.
ADM is unbelievable. I own ADM. ADM's unbelievable.
Great stock. It's great stock, and it's all-time highs this year.
The only company that can get accused and convicted of price fixing, and look at the stock now.
Well, yeah, exactly. By the way, price fixing in the food industry is worse now because there's less competitors.
Right.
It's all ABCD.
I'm very experienced in problems in the food industry and price fixing.
Yeah, I know you are from your dad. But it's it's all Archer Daniels, Bunge, Cargill, and Dreyfus. That's
right.
It. Worldwide. So,
here's the bottom line. Okay. It looks like we're starting to get busier. It looks like there's going to be more action. It looks like traders are going to have a better opportunity to make some money now. Again, we urge you always to be careful and make sure that whatever you're trading, you do it with discipline and within the budget that you have, and do not get yourself over leveraged or over positioned, because you'll never be able to get out. And in the meantime, have a great week, everybody. As always, we thank you. And Andy, thank you. And
thank you.
Next week, everybody. Adios.